Welcome to Pompeii. Through the magic of Second Life, Pompeii has been resurrected and recreated with all its glory. Now we can all experience its wonderful ancient culture. Pompeii, which is very close to Naples, was completely destroyed in 79 AD by a massive Mount Vesuvius volcano. This was at the height of the Roman Empire. Ancient Romans would vacation in Pompeii because of its warm weather and lively culture, to include great food and wine, architecture, recreational activities, and more. Today, its ruins attract 2.5 million visitors a year. For nearly 1,700 years, Pompeii was lost in time until it was accidentally rediscovered in 1749. By the way, I'm Bike Stallion, your guide on this tour. Before we begin our adventure, I'd like for each of you to introduce yourself and tell me what you're studying in school or area of interest. Let's go. How about you?
Well, I'm an architecture major at the University of Texas. Oh yeah, my name is Wei, and I would love to see all of the buildings and designs.
There will be plenty of that. Maybe you can help me show the group interesting angles. Next.
Hi, I'm Shirley, and I'm studying cultural anthropology in Tel Aviv with a focus on food origins. I'm excited to see what the citizens of Pompeii ate and drank.
Excellent. There are great examples of that throughout the tour. And how about you?
I'm actually in many of students' classes in Tel Aviv and study cultural anthropology too. I've read about Pompeii from faculty of pleasure culture and would like to learn more about that. Almost forgot, my name is Noah.
Welcome aboard, Noah. The pleasure culture in Pompeii was rich and vibrant. The ancients really knew how to have a good time, as you're about to see.
Yeah, I guess it's my turn. I'm Adam, and I go to the University of Texas with Wei. I'm majoring in kinesiology. I hope there's a lion's den somewhere.
Excellent. Okay, this tour will not disappoint. Pompeii has something special for each one of you. Let's go. Look around you. This is a typical street in Pompeii. You can see two-story houses with balconies and shops. As a matter of fact, homeowners usually have shops in the front on the ground level.
Well, wait. Why are there so many stones in the middle street?
Great observation. I'm glad you brought it up. Why do you think people in Pompeii had to put them in the streets?
Certainly not for decoration, because these stones do not look pretty at all. Does it have something to do with the lack of sewage system in Pompeii?
Correct. There was no sewage system in Pompeii. Water was often flowing in the streets from overflowing public fountains. Wastewater was commonly thrown out into the streets, so to keep everyone's feet clean and dry, it was necessary to cross where stepping stones were placed.
Very interesting. Check out the sidewalks. It looks like something I've read from architecture books. Something about some kind of igneous rock.
Yes, the sidewalks contained formerly molten rock. For instance, the white stones inserted randomly between the large stones allowed people and animals to see the road after dark. Since Pompeii people lived so close to Mount Vesuvius, some pavement materials came from the volcano. Let's walk along the street so that you can see the volcano better. Do you see the high stone wall built around Pompeii?
Yes, but why do some people live outside the wall?
Before Pompeii was under Roman jurisdiction, a high stone wall was developed around the city. Except on the frontier, no cities in the Roman Empire needed walls to protect their citizens since there were no fearsome enemies. As a matter of fact, residents of Pompeii began living outside the walls, even converting the walls into business and living quarters. Anyone hungry yet?
Yes. Can we See what they eat?
You got it. Follow me.
Ooh, it's a bakery. How did they bake? Did they use heaters like the ancient Egyptians?
Yes, but even better. The Romans developed new methods for bread and improved the taste. They filtered out foreign objects from the flour, invented a water mill for grinding grain, and improved the operation of the heaters. Bread was common in Pompeii and was an important component in the diet.
Did they grow their own grain or import it?
They grew grain on their land. Generally, their diet consisted of foods that were easily raised on the rocky terrain.
So, what kind of food did they eat?
Bread, of course, olives and olive oil, cheese, fish, figs, vegetables, fruit, cakes, and they drank a lot of wine. The land overflowed with vineyards.
That's healthy food. Oh, it seems they didn't need any weight loss diets.
Indeed. Their menu consisted of healthy, natural foods. Did you know that their cakes were made without sugar?
So canned cakes weren't sweet. That's not tasty.
Well, they baked honey cakes because processed sugar was unknown to the citizens of Pompeii, so natural honey was used as a sweetener. They ate 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and supper. Breakfast was eaten just after sunrise and consisted of bread dipped in wine. Lunch was bread dipped in wine along with some olives, figs, cheese, or dried fish. While supper was the main meal of each day. It was eaten near sunset. It usually consisted of wine, of course, vegetables, fruit, fish, and possibly honey cakes for dessert.
That sounds like a lot of wine. Were they drunk all the time? Did they ever drink some milk or simply water?
Wine was indeed the main drink in ancient Pompeii, but it was watered down. To drink it straight was considered barbaric. Milk was rarely drunk because it was considered barbaric too. Milk was used for cheese production chiefly. Water was another possible choice as a drink.
Were there picnics tables outside too?
Yes, let's go outside.
Wow, they lived a good life.
The good life was only for men, though. Men often gathered for dinner parties called symposiums, so having guests in the house was a male-only affair.
Hey, what about women's rights?
We're talking about society and culture that existed 2,000 years ago. In those days, it was a male-dominated world where women were very limited and controlled by men. Women could not even think about the possibility of independence. Women of the house were not permitted to attend the dinner parties. After giving a wine offering to the gods, the men drank and talked about politics or morals. Often young girls and boys would be employed to entertain guests with music and dance.
Wow. So, without any women around, I bet the men have terrible manners.
Yeah, speaking about manners, the Romans did not have any eating utensils, so they ate with their hands. Bread was often used to scoop out thick soups. Bread was also used as a napkin to clean their hands. After being used as a napkin, the bread was then thrown on the floor for the dogs or slaves to clean up at a later time.
Just give the bread to the gladiators. I'm sure they didn't care about manners. Can you see some of the action?
Of course, let's go. Are you ready to see the center of Roman public entertainment?
Does it have anything to do with sports?
Sure does. Arena games typically included gladiatorial, combat, executions, or even the slaughtering of animals. Contestants became local superheroes and satisfied the citizens' lust for bloodthirsty sports.
Bloodthirsty sports? This sounds kind of violent.
Unfortunately, yes. Most games often ended with contestants being injured or even killed by other gladiators or even animals.
So what are we waiting for? Let's go see what's inside the arena.
Wow, it's a lion's den.
Yeah, my research team has just informed me that we just missed an execution of a criminal.
It looks like a game just took place. Look at all the blood on the ground. Gory action at its finest.
They loved it. Citizens viewed executions as a game. Typically, games began early, lasted all day, and were usually divided into 3 presentations: a morning, lunch, and afternoon session. An attempt was made to match the method of the condemned person's death with the crime committed. Executions ranged from burning criminals alive, throwing them to wild beasts, or even crucifying them. Typically, gladiators with different specialties were pitted against one another, much like a modern boxing match. The duels were governed by strict rules and overseen by a referee, most often a royal figure, to assure these rules were followed.
I remember seeing movies where the crowd decides if a person lives or dies.
Not just any person, Adam, just the loser.
Hold on. You said the crowd decides if the loser lives or dies?
Yes, the crowd ultimately decides. Otherwise, the decision is left up to the emperor to determine whether the loser would live or die. We could spend all day here. Let's move on to one of my favorite sections of Pompeii. When streaking comes to its streetlights, Pompeii was swimming in sex. There is ample evidence of prostitution, orgies and sex clubs, women selling themselves to men, men to other men, and men to women.
Does it offer a true picture of sex in ancient Rome? Or was this city a one-of-a-kind hotbed of sin?
Well, at the Archaeological Museum of Naples, there's a room called the Secret Cabinet. For hundreds of years, this room was locked and sealed. It contains relics and artwork from Pompeii considered too profane for public consumption. So perhaps Pompeii was a haven for hedonists.
I guess open sexuality provoked embarrassment, and it was controversial. But we're all adults here. Tell me what was in the secret cabinet.
Okay, well, dozens of erotic frescoes, phallic street lanterns, sexually explicit drinking cups, and many representations of Priapus, or the fertility god whose large phallus pops up all over town. If you want to see Priapus, here he is in front of the Lobanara Grande.
Let's go inside.
Main Street was where you wanted to be for sex, in the center of town, near the forum and the marketplace. We're standing in the oldest known brothel in the world. Here we see a stone bed with a stone pillow. In ancient times, it would have been a mattress and some cushions to make it more comfortable.
Like graffiti was carved into the granite walls. Looks like they depict sexual slavery, prostitution, perversion, and even decadence. Wow.
Yeah, remember, they call this place Lobanara, which means den of the she-wolves, or my ex-girlfriend's house. I'm just kidding. It's a Roman expression for a house of prostitution. It was unearthed in 1862. The Catholic authorities sealed it off immediately. They even plastered over its explicit fresco. It was opened again in 2006 after renovation.
So there are photographic pictures all over the walls, and the room shaped in the way that all you can do is go to bed. Don't they have bedrooms in their houses?
Yes, but Pompeii was in the business of selling sex and on a large scale. 80% of the population was poor, so it's safe to say most of the sex was quick and dirty.
Even the corridor decorates with erotic panels paintings that shown explicit ways of lovemaking.
Good observation. In fact, the erotic paintings were thought to provide a menu of choices for customers, but today they're generally viewed as depictions of fantasy.
Wow, I never knew Pompeii was so interesting.
We could spend all day here and only scratch the surface. Let's start heading back. Well, that was fun. Thank you for the great questions, and I hope you'll bring your friends to Pompeii. Do you have any other questions or want to see anything else?
Thanks to Shirley. I'm hungry. Let's go to Nathan's for some great food.
You read my mind. Let's eat.
Thanks, Noah. I'm just kidding. Yeah, let's go to the trattoria.
Can we pick a place with a pretty building? Perhaps a cafe with a dome?
It's the place. Arrivederci and grazie for watching.